Well, hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday to you guys. I hope you guys have had a wonderful, 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 wonderful Easter weekend. My name is Willie Morris, and this is the Talk with William Morris. What we do over here is we take topics that are trendy and we try to make them as relatable to your everyday lives as possible. Now, to be clear, on my last couple of videos that I did, it was about a YouTuber, and well, yes, I was cussing up a storm and uh, giving my commentary on another YouTuber. Um, that's not what this platform is. This platform is not uh gossipy. It's not the beef sector. It's not none of that. We're not starting beef with anybody or anything like that. This platform is strategically and strictly all about taking things that are spiritual in nature and making them everyday related and making those everyday topics relatable to your life so that you could possibly walk away learning something new or even perhaps just thinking about something that you probably never thought about before. My name is William Morris. I pretty much just introduced myself. For those of you that don't know me, my name is William Morris, and I am the teaching life coach here at the Talk with William Morris. We are starting a new series called Unconditional Love. And what that simply means, ladies and gentlemen, is we are going to be dealing directly with what does unconditional love looks like. How do we get it? Is it something that we need to focus on? And how is it, ladies and gentlemen, that we live in a culture that does not talk about unconditional love through the spiritual lens? Everything is superficial. Everything is give, 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 and take, take, take. But no one, as far as I know, on this particular topic, can take a deep dive and give you a very nuanced and eye opener of a conversation. Now, we're not going to be here for very long. And part of it is because we're going to be asking two questions for today. And as I go along in this new series, we're going to be asking more difficult questions as time goes on. Now, I would like to make something clear to you. We are not above criticism. We are not above being cussed out. This channel is not above any of those things. However, you will be blocked if you are found to be disrespectful in the comment section or even in the chat. We don't do disrespect over here. We don't do people coming out of pocket with anybody else. This channel is a spiritual channel, and we will remain so for the duration of my time on YouTube. So you can disagree with me, but please do it respectfully. We're all adults. We're not petulant children trying to look for a read, trying to look for a spotlight. We are adults, and I expect each and every one of you to act accordingly. In the chat, in the comments. Let's get started. Okay, so what spurred this on this particular theory, what spurred this particular series on for me was the simple fact that the black culture in general, the black community, have a lot of baggage. And most of that is due to trauma from the older generation for not taking their children and at least sitting their children down and having those difficult conversations with them and at the very least trying to make those conversations as understandably human as possible without telling them to shut up or sit down or I'm gonna whoop your A or whatever. that spurs trauma so that when they grow older and they start to have kids of their own, those kids then begin to utilize those same pattern of toxic behavior within the family. So all of this creates a toxic behavior. And so what I'm going to look at today is I want to ask the question. I want to ask two very important questions. The first question is, can one get access to this thing we call unconditional love? And the second question is, and if we can, what does that look like? We're going to be diving more into that in just a second. First of all, let me tell you a little bit more about me so that you guys can understand. Um, I am a life coach on this particular channel. I am uh, somebody that takes very seriously his role on this channel. I have many, many different experiences which have led me to this moment to be here with you all. And a part of that is being able to teach what I learned through those experiences to you guys. And some of life's biggest lessons is that you are not at the center of everything you say or do. It's just what it is. Okay? As your teaching life coach, I have a responsibility to make sure that when I bring certain topics to you, that I'm bringing them from the lens of not just spirituality, but also practicality, so that they're practical in nature. We sometimes we go through life not expecting. We go through life expecting things to be handed to us, expecting things to um, not not to be cared for. But this is not the case here. We want to bring to your attention certain issues. So, as a teaching life coach, I'm going to teach you the tools that you probably have never heard of, and I'm going to expect you to use those tools in your everyday life. So I'm pretty much kind of like uh, a, a psychologist, a therapist, but not really because I don't have those specific skill set to become a therapist or whatever. So let's start with the first part of the. Let's start with a scenario. Let's say you are a black woman and you and a black man, and you both really like each other, but somewhere in the back of your mind, you know that you are trouble for each other. You know that at some point that this will lead to some particular issue and it's going to come to class, but at some point, you two decide, you know what? I want to give this thing a shot. I want to see what we look like. I want to see what the future holds for us. So let's give it a shot. Let's see what we got. The black man tells you his expectation. He says that I want you to be a wife, but I don't want you to be just any kind of wife. I want you to be a submissive wife. I want you to be the wife that takes care of the kids. You don't, I don't want you to work. I don't want you to do anything. But stay at home and take care of the kids while I go out and make all of the money. And the black woman says, no, The black man says, well, those are my expectations. Well, and she says to the black man, well, your expectation is way, way out there. The woman says, you are clearly out of league here. The woman then goes on to explain that what am I submitting to? Because I'm not just going to sit at home all day and do nothing but clean the house and take care of the kids. You expect me, while yes, that is a full-time job being a mom, the woman says, you don't even seem to have a vision of what you want to do with this life. So how can you expect something out of me when you don't even have it yourself? So we begin to ask the question, can you gain access to unconditional love? What does that actually look like? Unconditional love exudes wisdom, exudes understanding, exudes clear minded, and it's careful to not alienate the people around them, whether that be your partner, your romantic partner, your husband, your wife, or your family, or whatever. And they are wise in their approach. Unconditional love says, I will love you unconditionally, despite your flaws, despite the fact that you might just be the toxic, terrible thing for me. But I will still love you anyway because I want to show you that I'm always going to be there for you. Unconditional love looks like a warm blanket wrapped in love. And it is wisdom in which we are able to see unconditional love through its lens. So the black man says, "Okay, so then we're at an impasse." The black woman says, "Yes, we are." Both of these individuals have expectations going into the relationship, but there is a deeper problem with this scenario, and that is this particular scenario creates a toxic environment for children to be in. Because if all that the husband wants to do is for the wife to sit home, take care of the kids, and cook and clean, and the only thing he has to do is just make the money and no questions asked, then that leads into other problems, other situations that I find very problematic in situations like this, which is why you don't see a lot of marriages in the black community lasting as long. It's because those marriages were predicated on trauma. Those marriages were predicated on empty promises. Those marriages were predicated on whatever. And in this community, we have a problem with being honest and open enough without the other person making fun of them, without the other person trying to say, you know what, you ain't nothing but a wah, 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 wah. And you're calling them all kinds of F words, they're calling them all kinds of B words, they're calling them all kinds of whatever. And this is mostly coming from the woman. Anytime the man expressed any kind of vulnerability, the woman, the black woman in this particular scenario, does not give the man space enough to say what he has to say and express his vulnerability without the woman having to come in and start picking at him during his moment of vulnerability. I want to say something about the women for a moment. The black woman, you are the bedrock of this community. You are. But in that comes out this need because society, because our culture have uplifted you and have put so much pressure on you to be the bedrock because why? The man has failed. The black man has not done what was needed. Oh, y'all don't want to talk to me while I'm preaching good. Y'all don't want to talk to me while I'm preaching good. The black man does not know. The black man has failed in his duty, not just as a wife, I'm sorry, as a husband, but as a father to his kids, whom he laid down with. But the black women also have a problem. All of this pressure to be the strong one has led to some pretty unsavory conversation about what black men actually think about black women. So you see them most of the time, the black men, and they're in this thing called the manosphere. The black man is voicing his insecurity about what he thinks a black woman should be like or needs to be like according to his standard, without really considering that they themselves have failed to keep up with the black woman's expectation. This is a problem that black women face. In their attempt to be the strong one, they are often little girls in grown women's bodies. Nobody has actually sat down with them and actually had a conversation with them and said, you know what? It's okay to draw from your femininity. It's okay to say, you know what? You don't have to do this. It's okay to say, you know what? You need a break. Because that takes a mental and physical toll on you when you have to constantly be the strong one all the time. Hear me when I say this, black women. This is not me preaching to you. This is not me saying that you ought to be doing dot, 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 dot. This is me informing you that you need that. This is me informing you, basically telling you it's okay to be a woman. It's okay to lean more into your femininity. You don't always have to wear the pants. It's okay to sometimes take the pants off. And if you have a good man in your life, and they really do love you, the black man does, and they really do care about you, they really do take care of business. They really do ensure that the house, that not just that not I can't talk to save my life. They don't just bring in the money. They take care of you. They provide. They spend more time with their children. Then you can surrender that power of being the breadwinner in the home. Because you got a good husband. You got a good man. Somebody there that's going to always be there for you. Now, to those of you that don't have that kind of relationship, to those of you that are not aware of what that relationship even looks like, because you have been from one toxic environment to the other. You have allowed yourselves to be from one toxic environment. Your mother said that you wasn't pretty. Your dad said that you wasn't pretty. Your grandmother said that you were ugly and you deserve to go to hell for whatever it is that they thought you did when you were younger. All of that has passed on to you. So now that you are an adult, every man that thinks you're cute, you want to open your legs to. There is a pathology, and here's what I'm getting to. So there is a pathology of trauma that we need to unpack here, ladies and gentlemen. Because unconditional love is not just about the baggage, it's not just about the trauma that's associated with. It's loving you through all of that. That's what unconditional love is, ladies and gentlemen. It's loving you through all of that and giving you your space to say, you know what, I need a little time to myself. You don't always have to be the one that's always doing everything. Sometimes you need a break for your mental, physical, and spiritual soul. Your physical man, your physical soul, your spiritual soul. But if you have gone from one toxic environment to the next, 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 therein lies a pathology that must be cleansed. And the only way for it to be cleansed is if you do self introspection and you have somebody there to walk you through what the issue might be. And that's where I come in. I ask you a series of questions to figure out what it is that you're doing, what's your relationship like with these people in your life, and how we can fix it. Because trauma needs to be carefully and surgically removed. And you need to be able to surrender, keyword, surrender the process to the process. You need to be able to allow your heart to just break. So let me ask this question. When was the last time you let your heart break? Y'all don't want to talk to me now. Let me say it again. When was the last time you let your heart break? Because in order for healing to start, your heart has to first break. And then we can put those pieces back together in places in piece by piece so that you can find some type of peace that will afford you the level of love and respect that you have gained. And for the Black woman, this is self care. This is self-care. This is taking care of yourself first. This is also true of the black man. Sometimes in our culture, we get so wrapped up in yabba dabba doing and yabba dabba zipping and zooming things that we just don't take the time to perform an open heart surgery. And that's why some of us, when we lay down with another person or when we go down with another person, we don't know most of the time that what we're getting ready to do could lead to some serious consequences for us later on down the road. Having a baby is a monumental responsibility. And subjecting that baby all and subjecting that child to your trauma is the worst kind of mother. It's the worst kind of father. You brought the child into the world. So now that he's in the world, you're subjecting your child to tremendous trauma that you have not dealt with, that you have not even thought to consider, that you have not even thought possible was a thing for you. So what do we do? What do we do? What is unconditional love and how can we show it? Earlier, I answered the first part of that question. Unconditional love exudes a lot of the qualities that you would expect out of somebody when they are wise enough to say, you know what, I'm going to give you your space. I'm going to give you your time. I'm going to give you unconditional love so that when you finally able to come back to me, I don't have to struggle to have to scream so loud that I can't hear, that you can't hear me anymore because you're so wrapped up in what somebody else has done to you 30 years ago that you have not learned the art of forgiveness. Let me say it one more time. The art of forgiveness. There are certain practices that's associated with being a Christian, and one of them is learning to forgive. It's not just belief in Christ, it's forgiveness. It's the art of practicing forgiveness. If you are a Christian today and you have found this channel, I want to say thank you so much, but I also want to tell you, you don't know the burden of what it takes to be a spiritual Christian. Just because you go to church every Sunday and you listen to the pastor preach, and you have the Bible and you read the word, that does not make you a Christian. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to be honest here for a second. Jesus showed his disciples unconditional love throughout the humanity, knowing that they had flaws, each and every one, especially Peter. Each and every one of those disciples has their own problem, has their own situation. And if we can't, as a people, even attempt to be like that, then what are we really doing here? Not just as Christians, not just as people of faith, but as a culture, as a people, despite what the patriarchal system says. You don't need to be strong all the time, ladies and gentlemen. You need to be able to accept that. You don't need to be strong all the time. You don't need to feel like you don't need to show your emotions because you have been told that showing your emotions is somehow weakness or somehow gay or somehow sissy or sus or whatever. This goes for black men and for black women. We need to remove some of this patriarchal thinking out of our system and cleanse it and put it in the ground so that we can actually have those tough conversations with our spouse or with our partner. I'm just curious, are you ready for that monumental responsibility? Are you ready? For it? Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not ready, then what are you doing in a freaking relationship? What are you doing in a relationship? What are you doing dating somebody that at some point is going to cause you problems? What are you doing having all of this trauma induced headache? And most of you all think that you're doing it because you love the person. No, 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 no. You may genuinely believe that, but what this is really about is you want something out of it. And that something often leads to sex. And that often leads to a child coming out of wedlock. The church, the black church in this particular instance, cannot for a second allow its members to be vulnerable in a space where they don't have to be strong. The black church in this particular instance responds to the patriarchy because the patriarchy has taught them that they need to be beat with a wooden stick, beat the submission into them so that every single time they turn around, they will forever remember that no matter what it is that they do, the patriarchal system is there to keep them in check. The patriarchal system is a joke. In the black community, the black church have fed into its line. And I'm here to break this down. This is not just relevant to the black church or to the black community at all. This is relevant to any marginalized group or even the majority, white people. But we have got to come out of this thing, especially with us, where we can't express ourselves because we might fear being labeled a homosexual or labeled the F word because we're expressing a vulnerability side of ourselves. And again, this does not just apply to Black women. This applies to both Black men and Black women. I want to be clear. So what do we do? First of all, unconditional love requires no condition. That's why it's unconditional. Most of us in this community have conditions on love. With unconditional love, it removes those restrictions that we have placed on it. The second thing is we must be wise enough to understand that the level of love, the level of your higher self, that needs to take precedence over anything else in your life. If you want to reach the stage of unconditional love, you need to practice it on yourself first. Love yourself enough that you will say, you know what, I don't even need the Black man. I don't even want the Black. I don't even need the Black man. I don't even want him. Love yourself enough to say, you know what, doesn't matter that this person or that person might love me or whatever. Some of you right now don't have a clue as to how to love yourself because you're too busy loving other people. So you need to be able to love yourself first. And do an open heart surgery so that you can get all that funk, all of that trauma cleansed out of your mind and out of your soul and out of your body so that you can be a free person. It's easy to say, oh, just pray about it, child. It'll be all right. It's easy to say that when you're the one not going through the mess. Y'all don't want to hear what I'm saying. Y'all don't like what I'm saying. Loving someone unconditionally also requires wisdom. It requires a deeper level of yourself. And you won't be able to access unconditional love until you learn to access yourself. The next thing. What else? What else? What else is on here? Okay, so how can we show it? Well, first of all, like I said, we have to show it to ourselves first. Then we also have to, like I said, get rid of all of the funk out of our system, the trauma, and that will take time to unpack and release. Then, once we do all of that, and once we get past the funk, once we get past the open heart surgery, then we can practice the art of forgiveness. Now, that is going to take time as well. Because the power is not for them, it's to take back your power. It's to take back and say, you know what? Forgiveness, it's not a thing that it's not a thing that I should take lightly. But you know what? Because I love you so much and I've worked on myself enough, that I'm not going to let you steal that which I have worked hard to overcome and put me back in the box where you thought I belonged. I'm going to rise above that and I'm going to say, you know what? I forgive you. Here's what forgiveness means. Because a lot of people seem to forget forgiveness is this thing that you can just make go away. Forgiveness means looking back on everything that this person has ever done to you, whether that is verbal abuse, whether that is who's either, I'm blanking on it, whether that is physical, verbal, or even mental abuse, whether that is rising from toxicity, it's looking back on everything somebody has done to you and saying, you know what, I'm washing myself of all of that. Because no matter how much you affected me, I am not going to continue to allow it to affect me anymore. So I'm forgiving myself for that. And I'm forgiving you for believing in the fact that you could do those things. Okay. So then after you forgive, what's next? What's next, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the hard part. Because in your forgiveness, you had to surrender things about yourself that you probably wouldn't have done otherwise. So, what's next, ladies and gentlemen, is this not just forgiveness. Now you have to practice it. Now you have to practice self care and self love every day for the rest of your life. And only then can you reach the stage of unconditional love. And only then can you realize that love is not just this thing that you can just give. It's not just an emotion. It is a spiritual gift. And the minute you waste it, the minute you don't allow yourself the opportunity to really sit in it, it goes away. But it doesn't go away in your emotions or anything like that. It goes away in terms of a art that you have to practice. So after you've surrendered, after you forgive, you need to do that over 70 times. That's what the Bible says. 70 times. And I'm just wondering if you have it within yourself to do it. Some of you right now have reached a place in your life where you are doing open heart surgery on yourself and you are doing it. And you're not only just doing open heart surgery, you're actually surrendering to the process, but you're not quite at that step of forgiveness yet. You're getting there, but you're not quite there yet. And somebody needs to take your time and somebody needs to tell you, you know what, that's okay. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm not quite ready yet. I still need to work on some things. That is what it takes to forgive. And if you are ready for that, if you are ready for unconditional love to come to you, then you need to do the work. This is part one of Unconditional Love. We will be doing part two in the next week or so keep an eye out for that. Um, Thank you guys so much for listening to me. Thank you guys for tuning in to the channel. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We have a lot more coming on this series, and I hope to see you guys on the flip side.